Welcome to the Friday News Dump for Sunday, September 15th, 2013. I'm Francis Goodwin. This is Gregory Crawford. And behind the camera, we have the lovely Deborah Goodwin.
Yeehaw.
The Wall Street Journal's David Wessel is reporting that Larry Summers has withdrawn his name for Fed chairman. Summers wrote in a letter to President Obama, "I have reluctantly concluded that any possible confirmation process for me would be acrimonious and would not serve the interest of the Federal Reserve, the administration, or ultimately the interest of the nation's ongoing economic recovery." 4 Democrats on the Senate Banking Committee, which has first say over accepting the president's nomination for Fed chair, have already said they oppose Summers' candidacy. Summers was also facing opposition from more than 200 economists who signed an open letter in support of current Fed Vice Chair Janet Yellen.
Such a patriot for him to withdraw his name.
Oh, yeah,
because
right.
it's gonna be
Well,
too
I think it
acrimonious.
was finally a situation where the writing on the wall covered the entire wall, and he said, "Oh, really? Maybe people have been reading a little bit of my history and know that I don't know what I'm doing."
Right. Nobody likes me as much as I like myself.
He should nominate John Corzine.
Oh, yeah, really.
If we want to really get,
Well, the thing is that Obama was just doing his master's bidding, basically, as far as
Yeah.
Jamie Dimon and Blank Fine and the rest of them are saying, "No, put our boy in there. It doesn't matter that he's an incompetent jerk. Just put him in there because we can control him." But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Colorado officials warn that the death toll from the week's severe flooding could rise. A second person is missing and presumed dead, in addition to 4 deaths previously verified. The 80-year-old woman has been at home with an injury when the building in which she lived was destroyed. Previously, authorities confirmed that a 60-year-old woman was missing and presumed dead after witnesses said they saw her mountain home swept away.
Those 2 are among hundreds who remain unaccounted for, although officials say the bulk of those missing enlisted as such because they do not yet have working telephone service. Officials have already confirmed 4 deaths since relentless rainfall began flooding the usually semi-arid region nearly a week ago. President Obama declared the area a federal disaster area over the weekend. Some areas have seen more than a year's worth of rain in just a few days. The floods have destroyed roads and buildings.
About 500 people were still unaccounted for in 2 flooded counties, and nearly 2,000 have been evacuated from their homes. While many may be just without communication services, officials warn that the death toll could rise. National Guard troops and local emergency crews were continuing to search for and rescue people that were trapped by the floodwaters.
The United States and Russia announced yesterday they've reached a deal on a process to remove or destroy Syria's chemical weapons by mid-2014. After a 3rd day of talks in Geneva, Secretary of State Kerry and Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov outlined the details of the deal, including a condition that Syria must provide a comprehensive list of its chemical weapons stockpiles within a week. President Obama emphasized that the deal does not mean that the possibility of force is off the table. The agreement hands President Obama a diplomatic achievement without U.S. armed forces firing a shot. If the deal survives political and practical hurdles, it could also wind down a drama that has put the Democratic president and his threat to attack Syria at odds with most of the United States public, many of his supporters. The Obama administration may now be able to address domestic priorities, such as a budget agreement, raising the debt ceiling, and nomination of a Federal Reserve chairman.
A new discovery has the art world all in a tizzy, or should we say, a rediscovery. A long-lost and nearly forgotten painting by the prolific Dutch artist Vincent van Gogh has been unveiled at the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. The museum's directors are sort of soft-pedaling the fact that they once refused to authenticate the piece. Sunset at Montmajour, a painting depicting gnarly stunted trees on a sun-baked heath, spent several decades gathering dust in the attic of a Norwegian industrialist because he had been told it was a fake. Turns out that the analysis was a fake. Van Gogh had described the piece in some detail in a letter to his brother Theo, even down to the day that he painted it on July 4th, 1888. Now, Van Gogh only sold 1 painting during his lifetime. Today, his works command tens of millions of dollars on the rare occasions when one comes up for sale.
Is this one going to sale?
Apparently
Do
so.
you know, is
Yeah.
it going on? Is it going to be?
That's my understanding.
Wow. So this could be like the most expensive painting ever.
Probably.
Could be.
And it's actually, quite an attractive piece. But it's one of those, it was sort of a transition period for him when he was coming from a slightly more realistic representation of the scenes he painted, and now he was gradually coming into the more impasto and the bolder paintings that everyone is familiar with. And this little transition period is what made people say, I don't know whether that's his or not. So it's to be understood, but some of the markings that were on the back of the canvas and several other things that actually those people doing the authentication should have noticed in the first place have made it, an absolutely positive identification that it was his, But they had, chemical analysis processes that weren't really available to them way back in the day. And the very first time that this thing came up for review was like, 100 years ago.
Oh, I
So,
see.
and they didn't know all of this stuff now that we do. So, anyway, take it away, Tad.
It was during the sunflower period when he did the sunflowers.
Yeah.
NASA Thursday announced that the Voyager 1 space probe has left the solar system. It is the first man-made object to reach interstellar space.
OMG, I can't believe it. It's like here. It's like really here. Oh, I've waited for so long. Oh, I better get it out of the box before the next one is like released. What? Already?
What are you talking about?
are
Yes,
you
ladies
talking
and
about?
gentlemen, there are now, count them, 2 new iPhones from Apple.
Oh, hallelujah!
The flagship phone, as some call it, is the new iPhone 5S. In size and shape, it is indistinguishable from its predecessor, the now hopelessly obsolete iPhone 5, which presents a quandary for 5S owners that want to go nya, 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 nya as they wave their new purchase in the faces of their soon-to-be ex-friend. Fortunately, the marketing geniuses at Apple have solved this problem. The 5S is available in gold, silver, and space gray. What? Yours is only earth gray? Oh, gosh. One distinctive feature of the new device is the absence of a password. Your iPhone 5S will only be accessible with your fingerprint. The iPhone 5S with all the bells and whistles and 64 gigabytes of memory, man, that's a lot of Angry Birds, will set you back $399. For all you pitiful peons, the less expensive 5C is plastic instead of brush stainless unobtainium and comes in a bunch of kitty colors that will get you laughed right out of the mall.
So supposedly the C stands for cheap.
I guess, or color.
I know. I've Apple wants you to say it's color, but the word in the street is already that it's cheap.
And the word in the street always takes precedence, doesn't it? Yes, indeed.
Alcoa, Hewlett-Packard, and Bank of America will be dropped from the Dow Jones Industrial Average starting this week.
Alcoa?
Yeah, they're being
That's amazing.
they're being replaced with Visa, Nike, and Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman
Oh, boy.
Sachs.
Aren't we just delighted? The thing is that Alcoa, I'm pretty sure, was one of the originals.
That's why I
One
was
of the
saying
very
that. I
first
think that it
ones.
really was one of the original
Damnation.
Dow.
How the world is
companies.
changing, huh? So, the field of mayoral candidates in the New York City Democratic primary consisted of 4 serious contenders and Carlos Danger, formerly known as Anthony Weiner. As you may recall, Mr. Weiner resigned his congressional seat in disgrace after it was revealed that he had a peculiar penchant for tweeting pictures of his junk to members of the opposite sex.
So sick.
What gender is the opposite of crazy? Well, despite profuse apologies and promises to be a good boy, it turns out that old Carlos had not renounced his wicked, wicked ways after all. And his Johnson was still poking into the private parts of estrus iPhones across the nation. Mr. Danger just said, oops, my bad, and dismissed calls for him to quit the race with the delusional assertion that the people of New York love me. Actually, with 98% of precincts reporting, a mere 4.91% of New Yorkers were able to tolerate this scrawny bag of hair, teeth, and gristle. Let's go with gristle. Love? Forget about it. Danger's combative demeanor throughout the campaign didn't win him any new friends, and he certainly lost legions of old ones. Following his concession speech, Carlos Danger pounded the final nail into the coffin of his political career with one finger, which he thrust at an NBC cameraman as his his entourage did not go gentle into that good night.
6 months. I give it 6 months until
He tries something again.
his wife announces that she's divorcing him. Okay, you want to take bets, anybody? Because
Well, I'm amazed
really,
she hasn't done it
oh,
before.
I know. So
Iconic American car dealer Cal Worthington died Monday at age 92. Worthington was known for his eccentric television commentaries that were broadcast across the West Coast.
Ray Dolby has died. He was 80 years old. The ubiquitous Dolby logo has appeared on sound recording and playing equipment since he founded Dolby Laboratories in 1965. Dolby revolutionized the sound recording industry by eliminating the hiss from the narrow, slow-moving magnetic tape inside an audio cassette. Dolby expanded into the film industry and developed sound enhancement techniques for movies like Star Wars. It soon became an industry standard. Dolby has 50 U.S. patents and numerous awards, including 2 Oscars for technological achievements. Dolby passed away in his San Francisco home. He is survived by his wife of 47 years, Dagmar, and his sons, Tom and David.
The governing body of the church in Wales voted Thursday to allow the ordination of women bishops.
yay! Yeah, I like that.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
The largest cave in the world, Son Doong, in Vietnam, will soon be open to the public. Visits may be limited, however, by the fact that it is only accessible by rappelling some 250 feet down a huge hole in the ground of the cave's entrance. The hole was only discovered in 1991. But it wasn't until 2009 that British cavers first explored it. What they found is astonishing. The cavern has a jungle, a river, more than one waterfall, and at least one part of it's high enough to accommodate a 40-story building.
Wow.
It is 5.5 miles long, and everything about this cave is outsized. A stalagmite several hundred feet tall called Hand of Dog makes a man standing in the crotch halfway up it look like an ant. A tour company called Oxalis is accepting reservations for 6-day tours beginning next year. Expect to drop about 3 large for the tour, and airfare is not included.
Miley Cyrus Tuesday broke the record for the greatest number of views in 24 hours with her latest video, Wrecking Ball.
Is that the video of her twerking at the VMAs?
No, this is totally different. She gets down to her birthday suit on this wrecking ball with a gargantuan chain and stuff like that. And I guess the lyrics were so touching that she broke into tears.
So you're one of the
Yeah.
millions and millions and millions that have seen it. I understand.
Curses.
The video, uploaded Monday, had 19.3 million views after a single day. That's almost as many as we get on this on the NewsDump.
Really?
Keep working it there. Keep working it, girl. You'll catch up to us.
Miley for
Yeah,
guests.
yeah, she'll probably we'll get her on here. We'll get James.
Oh,
on
she'll be
here.
dying for the bump. Yeah, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Many people complained about the video. I didn't figure out why.
Well, they complain about everything. I got to do something.
Some people, right.
Well, did
From
you
our
see it?
staggering stupidity department comes this sign that the future of humanity is doomed. I'll give you 50 guesses where this tidbit of idiocy originated, and the first 49 don't count. That's right, Texas! You got it on the first guess, and you don't even know what it is yet.
Don't mess with Texas.
Damn, you're good.
Don't mess
Seems
with
the Texas Department of Education has determined
Isn't that
that
an
the
oxymoron?
oxymoronic creation science should be included in every textbook used in the state's public schools, said one of the witless clowns on the review committee, and I quote, "I understand the National Academy of Science's strong support for the theory of evolution. At the same time, this is just a theory. As an educator," okay, let me stop you right there, Bubba. You said you're an educator, but you are obviously incapable of differentiating between a theory and a hypothesis. In scientific parlance, a theory is a hypothesis that has been proven through repeated testing. Therefore, a scientific theory is, in the simplistic patois of the great unwashed, a fact. Good grief, it's like trying to reason with a brick. Fine, you say, let these inbred web-footed pinheads secede from the Union and then just fence it off and let them eat each other. Ah, would that it were that simple. Unfortunately, Texas has one of the largest public school systems in the country. Textbook publishers have long tailored their books to these lowest common denominators of the social equation and then hustled the watered-down jingoistic crap that's left to the rest of the country's schools. And we wonder why the American education system is the laughingstock of the civilized world. I ask you.
And on that lovely note, we're going to take a break, but we'll be right back after Gregory Crawford's weekly rant. Just let it roll, Deborah, okay?
Okay, keep going. Just don't even turn it off.
Right.
Okay.
And we're back. This is the Friday News Dump, or the second segment of the Friday News Dump for Sunday, September 15th, 2013. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Francis Goodwin. This is Gregory Crawford. That's Deborah Goodwin, back behind the camera.
That's me back here.
We're having a wonderful time here.
Oh, a blast.
They used to hang people for having this much fun.
At least 60 people were killed Monday in the Central African Republic during clashes between pro-Saleka rebels and forces loyal to ousted President Francois Bozize.
Fighting on Monday between Boko Haram and government-backed vigilantes in Nigeria's Borno state left 18 dead.
Followers of Muslim separatist leader Nur Masori launched an attack on the southern Philippine port of Zamboanga City, forcing the closure of businesses and schools.
The Moro National Liberation Front attacked the Philippine town of Lamitan on Thursday, with 5 people missing and 2 injured.
Mahmoud Badr, the founder of the Tamarad grassroots movement that helped spark the July 2013 Egyptian protests, reportedly survived assassination attempt Monday.
Hi, I'm Greg Crawford with the Friday News Dump, brought to you by World News Trust. Oh, corporatists. These guys just never let up. The litany of outrageous, insane, and flat-out evil machinations by multinational corporations would take years to recount. So let's just touch on a couple of the most egregious examples of predatory capitalism run amok. At the top of the list has to be the TPP, or the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Negotiations for this obscene travesty are so secretive that an in-depth analysis is difficult. But enough information has been ferreted out to make the rational human being scream at the top of his lungs, "Are you fucking kidding me?" To call it NAFTA on steroids is a bland assessment. Only a fraction of this so-called trade deal actually deals with trade at all. In reality, it is a corporate coup d'etat. It is high treason on a global scale. Nothing like it has ever been conceived outside of a comic book villain's fevered imagination, or a corporate CEO's fevered imagination. Nowadays, there's little difference between the two. Ordinarily, such treaties are hammered out by the legislative bodies of the nations involved, but not this time. I can't speak to the other Pacific Rim nations targeted by the TPP, but to the best of my knowledge, none of the appropriate committees in either our House or Senate have been read in on this thing. The president has someone on the inside, but he sure as hell ain't down with this whole transparency thing. What? Keep a campaign promise? Now you're just having fun. Those are his words, not mine. The essential purpose of the TPP is to make multinational corporations immune from any laws in any of the signatory nations that might seek to constrain their diabolical schemes for global economic domination. Now, seeking to undermine the Constitution, the rule of law, and the authority of the U.S. government sure sounds like treason to me. Now, Section 3 of Article 3 of the Constitution of the United States defines treason quite narrowly. treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. Deliberately undermining the nation's economy for the profit of a few could certainly be construed as an act of war. Be assured that we will examine this more closely as more information becomes available. So coming in a close second, and also related to the TPP, is the announcement on Thursday that the cynically misnamed Farmers Assurance Provision, better known as the Monsanto Protection Act, is coming up for renewal. It was surreptitiously slipped into a continuing resolution to provide just enough funding to keep the government functioning until a budget can be approved. And of course, every Republican and far too many supposed Democrats are supporting it. Now the twisted denizens of the Tea Party are threatening to shut down the government again if this rider is not left in the spending bill. No concern whatsoever for those who will be harmed by this petty and pointless action, only an unyielding insistence on getting their own way, just like the vicious children with borderline personality disorder that they are. Now, as tediously repetitious as it sounds, this is yet another instance of a multinational corporation trying to exempt itself from any existing laws or future court actions by declaring it illegal for a judge to issue an injunction against one of their GMO seeds, even if it is proven to be unsafe. Did you get that last little tidbit? Even if it is proven to be unsafe. Do you believe these assholes? Many countries in Europe are banning Monsanto's GMO crops altogether. In retaliation, Monsanto is trying to patent essential crops and the seeds that produce them, even if the company has made no patent-worthy genetic modifications to them. How's that for chutzpah? These soulless monsters are relentless in their determination to take iron-fisted control of the entire world's food production and distribution system. Do you really want to let them get away with this? I don't. As I said, we could go on for days. But what are voters to do when their elected representatives put the interests of greedy, self-serving corporations ahead of the best interests of their constituencies? Well, vote the bastards out, of course. Sadly, that is easier said than done. Why, you might ask? 2 words. Citizens United. The most reprehensible Supreme Court decision in modern history allows corporations to pour unlimited money into the electoral system, corrupting the process beyond redemption. For, you see, money is now free speech, and corporations are people. Franz Kafka couldn't have dreamed up such a perverse scenario. So again, what's to be done? Okay, 3 words this time. Campaign finance reform, with teeth. Lots and lots of very sharp teeth. The only way to exterminate the grotesque corruption that has poisoned the body politic in this country is to forbid unequivocally and irrevocably any contributions by any person or any legal entity to any political campaign. Period. From the Board of Selectmen in a village of 600 people to the President of the United States, all elections are to be publicly financed, and no one gets to opt out. While we're on a roll, let's shit-can the Electoral College, too. Now, to accomplish this, Americans are going to have to rise up as one seriously pissed-off nation and say to Congress, just do it, or pack your bags and kiss that generous federal pension and the free gold-plated health care goodbye. Yeah, that free health care that you say the rest of us don't deserve. We'll be revisiting this issue soon, ladies and gentlemen, but let me leave you with a quote by the late Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis. We may have democracy in this country, or we may have wealth concentrated in the hands of a few, but we cannot have both.
And we're back. I'm Francis Goodwin. This is Gregory Crawford. Behind the camera, we've got Deborah Goodwin. And this is the second segment of the Friday News Dump for Sunday, September 15th, 2013. Thanks for joining us. At least 60 people were killed Monday in the Central African Republic during clashes between pro-Seleka rebels and forces loyal to ousted President Francois Bozize.
Fighting on Monday between Boko Haram and government-backed vigilantes in Nigeria's Borno state left 18 dead.
Followers of Muslim separatist leader Nur Masari launched an attack on the southern Philippines port of Zamboanga City Monday, forcing the closure of businesses and schools.
The Moro National Liberation Front attacked the Philippine towns of Lamitan Thursday with 5 people missing and 2 injured.
Mahmoud Badr, the founder of the Tamarad grassroots movement that helped spark the July 2013 Egyptian protests, reportedly survived an assassination attempt Monday.
Is he Muslim Brotherhood, this guy?
Very probably. Very probably. A senior Russian diplomat was gunned down on Monday in Sukhumi, the capital of Georgia's breakaway region of Abkhazia.
Bomb attacks targeting both Shiite Muslims and Sunnis killed at least 16 people Tuesday in Iraq.
And clashes erupted across Turkey on Tuesday after the funeral of a 22-year-old student activist. Security forces responded with tear gas and water cannons.
On the first anniversary of the 2012 Benghazi attack Wednesday, a powerful car bomb exploded near the Libyan Foreign Ministry building in the city.
Protesters and police clashed in Chile on Wednesday due to the 40th anniversary of the 1973 Chilean coup d'etat, which our CIA helped to engineer, bless their little pea-shaped heads.
And Kissinger helped too.
Oh, yes, Kissinger.
The guy that Kerry asked for
Is this
advice.
Allende?
No, it was Pinochet.
Kissinger, then,
Pinochet,
Well,
yeah.
who I think replaced Allende.
yeah, but
Yeah. More than 10,000 people have been displaced and 10,000 arrested as a result of ongoing dispute in India's, and how would I say that?
Muzaffarnagar district.
Yes.
American-born Islamist militant Abu Mansur al-Amriki was shot dead on Thursday in a dawn raid in a shootout with his former al-Shabaab colleagues in southern Somalia.
Taliban insurgents Friday attacked the U.S. consulate in Herat, Afghanistan, with several members of the Afghan National Police reported as killed and injured.
A bomb explosion on Friday in a Baghdad Sunni mosque killed at least 30 people.
Moro National Liberation Front rebel soldiers continued to hold 100 people hostage in the Philippine city of Zamboanga as they exchanged gunfire with Philippine Army troops.
And Israel's Hebrew University of Jerusalem on Monday announced the discovery of a 1,400-year-old golden treasure trove at the foot of the Temple Mount. Oh boy.
I'm not
Is it the
sure.
Ark of the Covenant?
I don't know.
I don't know. Is anybody's face melting? I wonder.
The People's Republic of China Thursday set goals for the use of coal as part of a comprehensive plan for reducing air pollution. Now, I don't get
I don't get that.
Excuse me? I'm sorry?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
At least 44 people were killed and 45 injured on Monday when a bus crashed into a ravine in northern Guatemala.
2 buses collided and caught fire in Iran, killing at least 44 people.
3 people died on Tuesday after a helicopter working with the Canadian Coast Guard research ship CCGS Amundsen crashed in the Arctic Ocean.
See, it's bad news around the world that you would never hear of otherwise.
Yes, you heard the bad news here.
Bad news.
Hey,
here.
you know, as Jane would say, unicorns and bunny rabbits.
Yeah, right.
And glitter, lots and lots of glitter.
A massive fire Thursday burned parts of the boardwalk in Seaside Park, New Jersey. Numerous decades-old buildings were destroyed.
We've been there
Yeah.
many times.
And a lot of those buildings were places that had only just recently been rebuilt after Hurricane Sandy
yeah,
damage.
didn't Chris Christie say something like, "Oh, we're going to do it again.
We're gonna do it
We're going
again.
to build it up
God.
again because we're not going to
Well-
let this stop us from taking FEMA money and building it all up."
Well, I think maybe they're going to have to start building those things a little bit stronger. But
No, a little bit not on the barrier islands. Maybe on the bay side would be a good idea.
Or up the hills a little bit.
Yeah.
or maybe they could just find another way to amuse themselves. But whatever, the boardwalk has been there for 150 years, so I guess they're probably going to stick with it. Anyway, dozens of people are feared dead after a Friday fire at a psychiatric hospital in Russia's Novgorod Oblast.
9 people are confirmed dead following massive floods Friday in Romania.
A World War II shell exploded on Friday in the Finnish town of Kymi in Lapland, killing 1 person and causing the evacuation of hundreds of residents. And it's interesting that they're going to be finding ordnance from World War II for the next 1,000 years in Europe, because so much of it went, augured in, and nobody finds it until their plow hits it and blows them to smithereens. After 65 or 70 years. It's amazing. It's terrible.
Authorities in Mexico's Veracruz state yesterday evacuated residents in low-lying areas ahead of the arrival of Tropical Storm Ingrid.
The California legislature passed a bill on Tuesday banning new sales of semi-automatic rifles with removable magazines.
Who did? Wait. I'm
California.
Sorry. California.
And the thing is that I have a sneaking suspicion that they're not. Some of these laws are being written by people that know absolutely nothing about firearms.
Yeah.
And as much as I would like to see responsible regulation of firearms. Responsible also means that you know what the hell you're talking about when you actually go and try and ban something. I mean, to say that the clip of a .22 is all of a sudden illegal is just asinine. That's ridiculous. Whatever. We'll talk about that again sometime soon, I'm sure.
A upcoming rant.
Yeah.
U.S.
Sure.
Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts Tuesday appointed Judge William Curtis Bryson as presiding judge of the U.S. Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court of Review.
We'll be talking about that one, too.
Yeah.
At least 1 person was killed, and several Jamaica Constabulary Force officers were injured during a melee at the police lockup in the town of Mandeville.
And I'm not sure what that was about. 4 people were found dead Friday in a car in Crossville, Tennessee. Authorities arrested a man in connection with the deaths.
They had been shot a bunch of times. A lot of times. It was like, major overkill there. An Indian court on Friday sentenced 4 men to death for the 2012 Delhi gang rape case, which took place on a bus in which a young woman had been lured into the bus to get a ride home, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah, that's just a terrible
But the
story.
rape in that country is like insane.
Yeah, you can't ride the bus, from what I understand.
You can't even
if
walk
you're a
the
woman.
street. You
Yeah.
can't even walk down the street.
So as soon as it's dark, anyway, you can't.
Nigel Evans resigned Tuesday as Deputy Speaker of the British House of Commons after being charged with 8 sexual offences.
Some people just never learn, huh?
What?
It will depress you to know that the title for the happiest country in the world goes to, may I have the envelope, please? Not the United States.
Oh, dear.
Sadly, the UN's World Happiness Report, yes, there really is such a thing, has declared that the happiest country on earth is Denmark. With a prosperous economy, low unemployment, even lower poverty levels, and excellent schools, free health care, extensive social services, I mean, the list goes on forever. It just makes me want to cry. But tell me, what have these people got to be so damned happy about? What's so great about living a long and happy life in a supportive community where everybody looks out for one another and everybody shares in the bounty? I ask you.
Japan's Epsilon rocket made its maiden flight yesterday, carrying a satellite from the Uchinora Space Center.
Uchinora.
Powered by nuclear.
We've all heard of urban legends. Well, here's a rural one. Cow tipping. There are those who believe it is possible to push over or tip a sleeping cow. Anybody who believes this has obviously never actually touched a real live cow. But don't take my word for it. Researchers from the University of British Columbia with way too much time on their hands have determined that this legend is just so much bovine feces. In the first place, cows don't sleep standing up. Secondly, the average Holstein dairy cow weighs upwards of half a ton. Jerseys are slightly smaller, but not by much. Although a third reason should not be necessary, a cow is not a rigid, static, unresponding entity. If you lean into her, and for the terminally obtuse, all cows are female, and I just dare you to try tipping over a bull, I'll watch from a safe distance and mop up your remains afterwards. Anyway, if a 200-pound man leans into a 1,200-pound cow with enough force to tip her over, she will lean back. Guess who's going to win that contest? The cherry on top is Newton's second law of motion. Force equals mass times acceleration, which says that it would take at least 5 of you hammerheads to tip over a cow, even if she didn't trample you into a puddle of blood and bone before you even got traction. And finally, to all you bored researchers and potential cow tippers, you guys really got to get out more.
And that's it for this week's Friday News Dump for Sunday, September 15th, 2013. I'm Francis Goodwin. This is Greg Crawford. Behind the camera, that's Deborah Goodwin. See you next week.
Bye. Thank you for indulging me.